You're listening to Permission to Shine, the podcast. Stories of overcoming obstacles and finding self-empowerment with Aries Bisram, Inner Power Activation Leader.
Hello, everyone. I cannot believe that I am literally less than 10 episodes away from 100 episodes. Like, how mad is that I've been doing this for this long? And I actually met some really lovely people this week, and I was talking about my podcast, and they looked up obviously me on this platform, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, you've done so many episodes." I'm like, "Yes, yes, I have." But I really see this as just a release, really. I've always loved doing podcasts and recording because I just feel like it's that other outlet for me, right? And you might hear in my voice it's a bit deep. It's because of well, I guess the astrological things that are going on still definitely affecting my voice, and also just being a bit run down, really, and it's just okay to be in that. So if this is the first time you're hearing my voice, I'm not normally this spacey. I mean, funny enough, on TikTok, we've got about this. You're gonna love this. So on TikTok the other day, I was talking about feminine leadership, as I do quite a lot, because obviously for me, that is really where my sweet spot is, where I connect from the soul space into the human space in the corporate world, right? And I was speaking on how I was in a sales call a few weeks ago, and the person that was selling me their service, don't get me wrong, amazing service, great. But the way they were selling to me was um very masculine, like I can't remember what they were trying to make me need their service, they were trying to manipulate the way I think to make it so I needed the service. And I did say to them in the call, I went, "This is very masculine." I was like, "What you're doing right now is very masculine. That's not how I feel safe in a space." And for anyone that's actually been my client or been on a sales call with me, and I don't even call mine sales calls because they're not. They're more like alignment calls to see if we match each other's energy and to see if we're both ready to embark on this journey together, right? That's probably the first massive differentiation. But I always say to my clients, I want you to feel safe and I want you to feel empowered to make this investment, right? There's no part of me being like, why do you need to do this right now? What in your life is gonna make a difference, like that you can't wake up the next day without feeling this sense of fulfillment? And I was like, yo, this is deep. I was like, honestly, I was like, I don't need to be in that energy. I think he said something like, who misses out if you don't like win, basically. And I was like, I'm not doing it for anyone else, like, don't get me wrong, like I'm lucky and fortunate to not have a family depend on me now, right? Whereas when I was younger, there was definitely some emotional parts of that, which obviously you all know about listening. But I don't have children of my own yet. So I know that there isn't any financial dependency on me, right? Which I'm grateful for. I'm not taking that as a small thing. But it was almost like he was making me create a reason that was like a ride or die reason, And I was like, yo, can we not? So I guess coming back to that, why I did that video was because of that reason. So I was just talking about that and talking about how we need to be making people feel safe in our energy and in our service, right? Like, what are we providing for people in order for them to want to make the investment and to see the value in it in their own lives? Because here's the thing. Anything anyone has, you can find a purpose for, right? But if it doesn't vibe with you and it isn't in alignment with where you see yourself going, I'm not pushing anyone, right? I think those of you that have worked with me will know, those of you that haven't worked with me but listen to me will know that I'm not that person. Yeah. And this is why salesy people have a bad rap, because it's that energy, it really is that forcefulness that we don't like. So, so I was talking all about that basically in this video. And then someone commented, "Is this satire because you don't look or sound very feminine?" And I was like, I stopped for a minute. My ego wanted to like come out of my body like venom and like bite the head off of the person. And my soul was like, yeah, yeah, And I partially was thinking, do I delete the comment? And I was like, no. And I just commented back and I said, well, what does feminine look like? Someone that has a high pitched voice and wears pink. And then they never responded. And I was like, Yeah. I was like, high five to me. High five to me on that, right? Because that was me making them accountable, teaching them a lesson, but without being like, you lose, that was bad, you know? I think that the old Charisse wants to win, right? She wanted to win. She wanted to slay the dragon, right? This Charisse is like, you got nothing to prove, but equally, we don't want people repeating the same cycle. So we do make people accountable for the things that they say, right? So that's really the full story as to this masculine thing that I just thought I'd randomly tell you. As always, gone off on a sidetrack, on a tangent here. But I think really I wanted to talk about the rebirth moment because I know a lot of us right now are going through lots of death, and I've actually had some physical death that's happened in my life again, which has only just happened today that I found out the day I'm recording, which has been difficult, but again, not as hard as what it used to feel. I think that, and this is something really beautiful that I want to talk on actually. As human beings, we are very selfish. We want everything to be something about us, right? We want to take information that we hear from other places. Like, I will use war for an example, right? There is a difference between having compassion and wanting to help and support by donating or energetically sending love and peace to internalizing it and making it about us. Now, there is empathy, and that's absolutely respected, loved, and valued. But when it becomes that we are taking and absorbing on that information, which I know is hard for, for example, cancers, the star sign, you guys, you can't help it, right? It's in your blood, your DNA. And also, water signs in general are going to feel that deeper. So I'm just giving a disclaimer there that I know that some people just naturally are that way. And don't get me wrong, I do definitely have some of that in me now for sure. But I think when I was really in this difficult time in my life, like as most of you know, between the ages of 12 to 17, I had 11 members of my family die back to back. When more people were dying, and again, I've gone on to lose a lot more people in that time frame from then to now. That's obviously like what, 16 years ago, something like that. So yeah, I kind of just thinking if it's more than that. Maybe it is. Yeah, probably more than that. Anyway, when I was in that wounded space, I was internalizing every death as a problem for me to solve. Like why? And it's because we're not told and we're not taught how to separate ourselves from what is happening in the world to what is happening in our own lives. Now, again, empathy is a beautiful space to be in because we empathize with people. We share our love and compassion and our care for that person that has lost that member of their family, that relative, that connection in their life. But we don't need to sympathize, which means feel sorry for them, because that again isn't fair. You don't want to wash over someone with feeling sorry for them. And I say that with love because I know people don't know how to be another way. But from someone that's lost, I would go on to say about 35 people in my life, that, you can't, I wouldn't say you can't do it, but it just doesn't, it's not well received, should I say, because people don't want you to feel sorry for them. They want you to just care. And that's it, right? And I guess that for me is the epitome of what empathy really means. And yeah, I guess I can't remember what my point of this was, why I bring this up to you, but what I'm saying is like this is all part of this process of caring. And again, this comes down to that feminine leadership thing, right? That I talk about all the time. Like empathy is one of the core pillars within that. And I think if we lived in a more empathetic space in the world, which it is evolving, by the way, um, we would have more compassion for one another. As I said, not sympathy, but caring, being more considerate. We'd want to be asking our team, what do they need, what they're going through, how can you support them? Those are the right questions to be asking. And especially with, your life, the people you love, those are the questions they need to hear too. Like if your friend has messaged you saying, you create this beautiful space now where you can be honest if you're having a hard time. If your friend messages you and said, I'm going for a really hard time right now, and they could do with, I don't know, some support, a shoulder to cry on, whatever it is that they need, you can then say, okay, I'll come around tonight with a cup, we can have a cup of tea, glass of wine, whatever it is, right? We get to make this space of like people supporting each other. And I think for me, in this dark time of death and rebirth moments, that is what I needed, really more than anything. I just wanted to feel held. And I really did, the people in my life have been amazing over the last few weeks. And I really have come into this space where I feel like something has shifted massively. And I guess that is really, this death feeling. Like obviously I've had physical death that's happened only like today, but energetically the old shifts have massively shifted. Like I think when I spoke about on the podcast that I did previously or on my own, I think it's episode 88 I did on my own. I spoke about what I was going through, and lots of patterns from the past were resurfacing, right? And that was with money, with my card, pardon me, with relationships and friendships. That was all coming to the surface because that was old wounds, right? And again, with healing, like I say to you, it's a circle. We're going to keep going through it, but something wanted to be seen there. And what I've really sort of analysed, understood, and taken in from this energy has been like that masculine energy, that masculine wound wanted to come up again to allow the feminine to scoop it up and to ultimately heal it, right, in some sort of a way. And that's definitely what's happened. And I think that more so, I'm speaking on female leadership, as I said, all the time. And this is really, I guess, my lesson in all of this is like everything I teach is from my lived experience. I'm not someone that just says, oh, I'm going to try that. Let's do this. It's something that the universe is presenting for me over and over again. I think I've said to you all before, in human design, I'm a manifesting generator, which means my core way to just, create is to respond. So when something is repeated in my life over and over again, I learn the lesson and then I teach it. And there's so many different layers to that on every part of my life. But I think that that's a way that I feel the most embodied in the work I do, right? And more than anything, in that dark moment, the dark night of the soul energy that I was going through those last few weeks, I just really, really deepened my trust in myself, in the universe, in the knowing that the breakdown happens right before the breakthrough. And I feel like I'm breaking through. I'd say this few months, this winter that we were in, I really internally was having a winter, like really like clawing into my psyche and my subconscious and like doing some spring cleaning in there, right? Those beliefs that were clinging on and relationships that maybe needed to be looked at and the way that I was looking at certain things I needed to address. And what's quite funny is that coming into Aries season now, if you're listening to time, really is about this kind of ruthlessness of like pushing us into this next level. And that's what I feels more uncomfortable than ever because Pisces season is bringing up all of the old stuff because it's the end of the astrological year. So Aries is saying, you have to deal with that. You've got to deal with this stuff right now before we elevate into the next level. And you're going to elevate whether you want to or not. So you might as well create a beautiful foundation so you can then create the life that you want and become the version of yourself that you were born to be, right? And everything that I've been doing and speaking on has been this main character energy stuff. And it's because, again, I very much have done that. Even when things feel so hard and I feel like I'm at rock bottom, it's like, you know what? I've got a ladder. I've got a ladder here because I've come down to this space many times in my life and I'm going to climb my way out as I always do. And that's the beauty of having tools, right? More than anything, having these mindset tools, these energy tools, these movement tools have just made a world of difference in my life. And I feel like, this is the purpose of the work that I do is to be able to give you the tools to be able to notice when you're falling or when it feels difficult. Like, what is this teaching me? Is this a lesson? Is this just part of my journey? And it always is, right? Nothing ever in your life, you've heard me say this a million times, is that nothing is ever happening to you, it's happening for you. And as I said, speaking on female leadership, speaking on feminine energy. Of course, my soul wanted to show me how embodied I am in this feminine leadership space because I believe this next chapter, this spring that we are now in, is going to open a million doors of opportunity for me to be in spaces to talk on feminine leadership more than ever before. And so the universe wanted me to feel more aligned than ever. And guess what? Mission accomplished because this is the rebirth that I'm feeling. It's like more than ever, I can see the impact of what I'm creating, the words that I'm saying, and even down to like little things happen. So, just for anyone that's like, feeling like they're coming into this rebirth moment, which a lot of you will, because when I'm launching this episode, it will be in the new moon, which is beautiful. So the Aries new moon, again, you can listen at any time, whenever you're listening. It might apply to where you're at energetically because you'll find it at the right moment, right? But this energy of stepping into this new, and this is the thing, right? The new moon's all about manifesting. So it's a new beginning, new chapter, new energy, right? And that is what's happening. But with the rebirth as well, you'll know you're in a higher vibration when, I mean, you feel it in yourself, right? You feel that you're like radiating, you're glowing, even though you might not look your best, you still feel good in who you are, right? It's like there's almost like a separation from your human self and your soul self because you can feel that you feel better, right? Even though I've got this little kind of cough going on, I feel in myself, in my energy, that I'm on top form. And I know I am because children are running up to me to just want to talk to me about random things as kids do, like just gobbledygook. Animals are coming over to me. I'm like living my Snow White fantasy. And yeah, people just in general, I'm just having more conversations with people. And even down to, I've had quite a few people in the last week comment on my energy. Like people have said, oh, you've got amazing energy, you've got great energy. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Thanks. Because I'm like, I'm going to own that. I've worked really hard on my energy, not from a place of wanting my energy to be good for people, but working on myself, like I know that when I walk into a room, it does light up because I am a light. And that was exactly what we went through in my workshop that I did the other day. And I've recorded it, and the replay is available for you to watch whenever you want to. The link will be in the description of the show. The way that I taught and worked through that workshop was exactly what the participants needed, but exactly what I needed too. And it was literally the whole death and rebirth moment in movement and physicality and in, just what I was channeling as I was delivering it. Because this is where I get woo woo, right? Is that I always have a loose format of what I'm going to say or do in everything I do, even like public speaking things. Sometimes with a public speaking or like a talk or a seminar or a keynote, I'll have exact kind of things that I need to talk about, prompts, but I always allow it to flow through me. So if it doesn't feel aligned to say something, I read the room. With my online workshops, I know the key points I need to meet just off the top of my head, but I allow myself to flow through it. That's the feminine, that's the channeling energy. I can feel into the participants' energy when I'm watching, so I know who energetically needs certain types of movement. For example, someone in that workshop needed, they had this sticky energy to them, meaning that there's like energy vampires, like there's people in their life sucking the life out of them. And I was like, right, we're going to just shed that energy and we do some somatic movements to clear that energy out of their timeline or whatever. And I think that's the beauty of it. So really, we went for a full circle moment. Like we really tapped into that heavy, hard, gritty energy, that we've been feeling. We allowed ourselves to like trudge through that mud, push it away, really shift that energy out. So then from that shifting and that moving, the heavy stuff, we were then able to feel that freedom and lightness. And then what was really beautiful for me was that I wanted to fly. Like my arms were like almost like creating wings. And I said it to them. I was like, I feel like I feel free. And then like they were agreeing with me, like, yeah. And then from that space of freedom and then grace, we were allowing like light to flow in and beautiful light codes and energy codes to flow through us. And what that means is like that beautiful source energy or feminine energy, whatever you want to call it. And we were having these soft, delicate moments because then from that space, we felt safe in our bodies to then invite this sassiness in. And what I like to do with my workshops in that space is like the transition from the grittiness into the feminine is to tap into the dark feminine energy too. And that might not mean anything to you, but if that sounds like, yeah, that sounds good, like, follow that workshop because honestly, the transformations after are incredible. Like, this is the second one I've done, and I'm going to keep it as a regular thing now because even after it, I had a new girl join me, and she said to me, "Is this every week?" And I was like, "Oh no, it's not." She was like, "Oh, I loved it," and I was like, "Yeah, I love it too." And I just think that everyone has a shift. Everyone that attends has a shift, and you will feel that too in the video because I'm giving my energy 100%, right? And so, really, I don't want to talk about the full video, the recording more than anything. But what I'm saying is that is going to give you that metamorphosis of shift, right? So if you're still in a place where it feels gritty and hard, do the workshop because honestly, it's amazing. And I think that, especially because I'd been feeling really stuck that last couple of weeks. And I say stuck's the wrong word, but like heavy. I was feeling heavy, right? Like I was pushing uphill. And then I now feel like I've got over the curve and I'm starting to roll again. And it feels really beautiful. And I literally had an overwhelming feeling of gratitude last night because I went to a networking event in the day. It's called Networking. You might remember me talking about it before. Amazing event. If you're a female business owner, you need to be there in the future. And I knew, and Eva Mercury tried to come in and tell me no. And I was like, look, honey, I didn't do my hair and makeup at 9 a.m. to not go to this event. So we're going. So I got dropped to the train station. The trains weren't running. So I was like, cool, I've got to drive. So I had to get picked back up again, get to my car, and then I drove into London. And yeah, it was amazing. Like that really psyched my energy up. I got to connect with women that I've seen before, women that I've met online. And that really revved my energy up. And I was like, cool, I'm in full main character energy mode now. The sun was shining, filled my cup up. Then when I got to deliver in the evening, I was in 10 out of 10 energy, And I feel like facilitating for me any space, whether it's a talk, a workshop, a dance thing, an event, whatever it is, being in the room is my favorite thing ever. Like, and I say being in the room, I mean, delivering my stuff is always my thing, right? So whether I'm physically in the room with people or delivering my stuff, that for me is my soaring energy. That is my phoenix wings opening up and spreading out and looking up to the sky. And you can't see me right now, but I'm doing the actual movement because obviously being a dancer previously, I can't help it. But yeah, I just feel reborn again, and I'm really excited for what the spring brings for all of us. And I would love for you to tell me how you're feeling. On whatever platform you listen on, you can comment, right? So please do use that section because it also helps push the podcast as well, which would be lovely. But anyway, more than anything, I'm wishing you the most replenishing, soul fulfilling, igniting rebirth season. And I hope that you give yourself the permission to fully expand your wings and soar, because that is what you are here to do in this lifetime. And if you need guidance and support on that, if you're ready to shift the weight that held you back, the obstacles, the hardships, as I said, the workshop is in the description. And you also have full permission to drop me a DM on my socials and we can have a conversation about if you need extra guidance and support in regards to one-to-one work or anything like that. Even if you just want to have a chat, drop me a DM because you are not in this alone, and I think the longer we feel isolated, like I said, we take everything personally, right? When we let go of that, right, and we give people back their stuff, and you can do that as simply by saying, I return all energy that isn't mine back to sender. You can literally do that. Take a deep breath in and just say those words, hand on heart, and let it go. And you can also say, I call my power back to me from every place, situation, and circumstance. And you just call your power back to you. I do that every night before I go to bed. send back what's not mine, call in what is, what I've given away. And that for me is that refilling up my cup. And I noticed that time where it was particularly heavy, I was called to do that more. And I think I'd forgotten that I needed to do that as much as I did. So yeah, this really is the time to step into your power whenever you're listening, but especially if you're listening on the new moon in Aries, because honey, it's your time. Okay, let's go. Sorry, that's quite cringy, but sorry, not sorry, all the things. But yeah, it's main character season. So are you going to step up, or are you going to keep being on the sidelines? Because let me tell you, it's only the audience that stays still and claps, right? The main character keeps moving. So take this initiation as a step forward towards whatever it is you need to do. So what's that one thing you said to yourself you were going to do in January and you haven't done yet? Today's the sign. Do it. Okay? I love you very much. I hope you have the most amazing week, and I will speak to you very soon.
If this episode resonated with you, please do like, follow, and share with someone that you know would benefit. If you're looking to dive in deeper to becoming your most unapologetic, most authentic, shining self, please do head to my website and join my newsletter, where you'll find out about all of my upcoming events and speaking opportunities and all of the things that I have going on. And also, if you would like to work with me, please do drop me a DM on any of my socials or through my website. Love and light.